everybody, and welcome to Bottom Line with Roni and Byron. And today we have a great show lined up for you. We're going to start off by talking about redistricting in the City of Marianna and in Jackson County.
And in national news, we'll talk about how U.S. Marshals in Georgia, officers were indicted in the death of a man shot 76 times.
And then we'll switch to sports and talk about some high school football, as well as college football and FAMU homecoming.
And in entertainment, we'll talk about how DMX's family releases a statement regarding his estate.
Then we'll switch to relationship T, and we'll see how well do you agree to disagree. And we'll get to it right now. So Byron, we'll start off with the redistricting situation that's actually in the City of Marianna as well as Jackson County. So the City of Marianna also had to redraw the lines. Their numbers have declined, actually about 2,000. And I know this kind of sounds weird since the county also lost about that number, actually a little bit over. But what has happened with the City of Marianna, people have moved to the outskirts of the county for many reasons, mostly Hurricane Michael. So what has to happen now? In the City of Marianna, they've met and they are doing it the proper way, and mostly because their charter requires them to have a nominating committee, which means each city councilman or city commissioner has to nominate 2 people to serve on this board that makes up the redistricting board. So I have a list here, Byron, and I'll go ahead and read it of what commissioner nominated who. And for district, let's see, District 1. Okay, here we go. District 1, Travis Eastrom, he has John Walker and Marissa Russ. District 2, which is John Roberts, has Jonathan Fuqua and Chris Milton. District 3, which is Alan Ward, has Pastor Jack Collins and Becky Crawford. District 4 is Rico Williams, who chose Elmore Bryant and Nikki Lovett. And then District 5, which is Kenneth Hamilton, has Kay Nichols and Chad Taylor. So Byron, this is a more involved community effort to make sure that the community is still involved with the City of Marianna. What do you think about that?
Well, that, like you said, that's the right way. That makes sense. You want to get transparency. You want to get the input from the community itself. And when you do things in this fashion, both the commissioners are doing things not what they want to do, because that's not what they were elected to do. They were to do things what the people wanted them to do. So I always fall back to, even in the campaign, when I would, be on my stump and I would be talking to people, I say, you know what, as much as people will vote for you and they'll elect you and they'll base it upon your core values, who you are as a person, what you campaign on. But also as a candidate and as a person that could potentially win, I have to always realize that, hey, no matter what I want, I have to be in line with what the people want. So, I always would say, the people in District 5, if they want a pink elephant in the middle of Grand Ridge, don't care if I don't like it or not, I got to figure out how in the world I'm gonna get a pink elephant, put it in the middle of Grand Ridge. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
So it's to that point. What they're doing, they're taking themselves out of the equation, their egos out of the equation. If there any or may be or may not be any questions about their political aspirations out of the equation, and they're appointing members of the community to do that work and advise them based on what they want and what the people in the community want. That makes sense. So there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's a good step forward. And I think it'll give you a more accurate, you're never going to please everybody, but I think that'll give you a more accurate assessment and, a more accurate viewpoint of what the people in each of their districts really, want.
Right. Yeah, I think it's a good thing that it is in the city's charter to have a redistricting board made up by the community. So it was, great to see that the 5 sitting commissioners did nominate 2 people each, and that was by the request of the city manager, Jim Dean. The goal is to make each of the 5 districts equal. That magic number is 1250. Right now, the lowest district in the City of Marianna is District 3 with 945. and the highest is District 2, which is 1,672. So again, they're trying to follow the, it also is a lawsuit. So I want to make sure that people understand both the city and the county, both are having to abide by a court order that generated from a lawsuit back in the 80s. So the city of Marianna was sued as well. And so they have to also follow guidelines. And, you know, some interpretation of that lawsuit says that at least 2 of the districts in the city of Marianna must remain majority Black. So that's interesting as well.
Yeah, another point I wanted to make is that these people that are appointed, they're not just anybody. They're people that have been active in their communities for quite some time, for many years. So kudos to that as well.
Yeah, I applaud the city of Marianna for the efforts and the way that they're approaching this. So hats off to the city commissioners as well as the city manager, Jim Dean. Now let's move over to the Jackson County Board of County Commissioners. So they met as well on Tuesday, and it didn't go as cohesive as what we're seeing in the city of Marianna. What happened was the Jackson County Board of County Commissioners, they actually met in cohesiveness supposedly with the Jackson County School Board. I did take note when the chairman, Jim Peacock, called the meeting to order. He said, I called the meeting to order for the Jackson County Board of County Commissioners and the Jackson County School Board. So to me, that meant it was a joint meeting. It was a joint effort, even though it was at the board chambers of the county commissioners. So that was key to me. However, it did not proceed that way. The attorney for the school board did state or present the map that the school board did come up with. They did have a map, and it did put Graceville in District 1, all of Graceville, including the high school, and put Cottondale Elementary and Cottondale High School in District 2. Now, mind you, Commissioner Clint Pate also presented a second map. He did one last week, made some changes, and brought back a second map. That map was also discussed. It was the flip-flop of what the school board had. The map that Clint Pate presented had all of Graceville in District 2, and had Graceville High School, of course, in District 2, and had Cottondale Elementary and Cottondale High School in District 1. So that brought about some conversations, some back and forth, and Byron, it did not go well. And let me just pause here and just tell me what you think about that.
Yeah, so what I will say is when it comes to this situation, it may have started out joint, but it didn't turn out to be too joint.
Right.
It was very one-sided. But people need to pay attention. I always ask the question, what's the end game? I do it with my kids all the time. When you're arguing, when you're fussing about something, okay, what's the end game? What's the interest? So let's be clear. The interests of the school board representatives are going to be the representation for schools and those students and those parents that live in those districts. Well, what is the interest for the county commissioners, right? And if those two should align, you know, but they're not right now. So, like I said before, intent and purpose. What is the rush? What is the intent of how things are going down and the way they're going down? Ask these questions. I don't think that it'll get you down a positive road. Nevertheless, as once again, I'm always having as citizens of your community, you need to be aware of what's going on, and you have to get engaged. You can't complain and talk about something if you're not being involved in it. And so this process is really seemed like last week things were going in a positive turn, but then this week, if we listen, we'll listen to the bites. It was basically, they did not want to, the county commissioners did not want, well, majority did not want to listen or even look at
and anybody else's
the school boards. Yeah, it was just we're rolling with the punches. And even when other sides were willing to listen and see what the county commissioners come up with, when the roles reversed, it was cut short. So it's not very, to my opinion, it's not very democratic. It looks like something that's more more of like a dictatorship almost, more of
Yeah.
a king, King Arthur in the rounds of a knight's table or something. So
Well, I listened, I was watching during the time, and what happened, Byron, is after the school board presented their map, Commissioner Pate said, I moved to adopt my map. It was seconded by Commissioner Eric Hill. After that, a discussion took place. Phyllis Daniels came up to the podium and she asked a question, why the rush? She asked him, why are we rushing? We have several meetings that we can come together. We've only met together twice. The school board has only met among themselves once. They've just come up with this map. And what's the rush? Okay. And then Charlotte Gardner, who's District 5 school board member, came up to the podium and basically said, we only saw your first map 2 weeks ago. We did not get the second map over the weekend. We know that you sent it because we see it, but we did not receive it, and said no fault to you guys. But the point is we have not had time to look at your second map, nor have you had time to look at ours because they just received it on that day. And she basically pleaded with them to take a look at their map, and we'll take a listen right now.
I guess you're saying, what are we asking for next? We're asking for you to look at our map. We're asking you to evaluate our map and come up with a better proposal off of our map. We did not see your map until 2 weeks ago.
And then after that, of course, shortly after, Clint Pate said, I call for a question. Commissioner Peacock said, that means it's time to vote. They voted.
And what's the purpose of it? Yeah. What's the purpose of that? What's the intent of that? It was almost like, but I mean, the people, you can see it for yourself. You just, you have to ask these questions.
They did not, after all the pleading from Charlotte Gardner, to listen to them, immediately after she finished, pretty much they said, Commissioner Pate, I call for a question. And Commissioner Peacock said, that means it's time to vote. And they voted 3-2. Commissioner Hill, Commissioner Pate, Commissioner Peacock was for. Commissioners Pate, second map. And then against it was McKinney, Commissioner McKinney and Commissioner Donifro. They were against it. And so it moved just like that. Now, we did get some feedback from the community, and then we'll let you listen to the City of Graceville's Mayor, Arthur Obar.
When the lawyer sent me the questionnaire, what have you heard from the public? We heard nothing. That's when I started asking people, what are your opinions of a split city versus one district? The people I have spoke to said they want the split because then you have 2 county commissioners that are having to act and respond to your questions versus 1. The school board does not agree with this Pate plan, nor do we. But that's what the county commission has voted in. It was Clint Pate's plan and Terry Nichols' plan from the get-go, not the people of Graceville. The people I spoke to wanted to continue the split city, but now that's gone. They excluded Alex McKinney, who is a graduate of Graceville High School and has been a fair broker for the city of Graceville for the last, year now? I mean, Alex has done nothing but good for us, and they just pushed him out.
Wow.
That's I mean, he pretty much stated what a lot of people have felt, and the consensus was that it was pretty much a personal agenda that was being pushed, and in this case, it was successful, unfortunately. Now I will say it's not it's not finished. It still has to go through several steps to get approved before the courts. So there is another meeting, a special meeting on Monday, November the 1st at 1:30 p.m. at the board chambers. And if anyone has any type of comments or opposition that they want to make, that is the time to go before the Jackson County Board of County Commissioners and state your opinion, give your input, because after that, if they pass it forward, it'll go to the courts. And, actually this map does meet all of the requirements pretty much. The breakdown is it's 55% African-American as far as population wise, and then 53.1% for the Black adult population that's able to vote. Now that's not registered voters, but 53.1% that's able to be registered to vote. So that's the breakdown. And because currently, Byron, I don't know if you know this or knew this, but currently District 1 was out of whack percentage wise. I mean, it was 44.3% Black and 49.4% white. That's the current number. Yeah.
So if anybody,
and that's population wise.
Yeah. And that's another thing I want to point out. So, for instance, myself, I would be in district, according to this new map, I would be in District 1.
Yeah.
So everyone that's I don't know if everybody paid attention last week, everyone that goes all the way to Flat Road, so that includes Sylvania Plantation, that includes Wintergreen, that whole Two Egg area, that whole Bascom area, all of that would be District 1, which it would strengthen the minority numbers in District 1. But essentially what it does, it almost assures that when it comes to District 5, or when it comes to District 4, and possibly even 3 and 2, you really won't get much of a minority representation, possibly. Now, that's not saying that just because it's not predominantly minorities and Blacks and Hispanics or Latinos that live in those districts that they won't ever win an election. But the data,
that's the history, though.
That's the history, and the data shows otherwise.
Yeah,
so
the history,
but
Byron, they had to pull the numbers from somewhere. They had to pull it from 2, 3, and 5, not 4, but 2, 3, and 5, because that was the close proximity next to District 1. So, in order to achieve what the consent decree ordered, they had to pull from those 3. Now they should have left, District 1. They should have left Graceville in District 1 and split, because as the mayor said, they've always just wanted it to be split. They always wanted to have 2 commissioners representing Graceville. And just like he said, Alex McKinney has done great in the last year for the city of Graceville. Plus, he's an alumni of Graceville High School. Now, this commissioner, who's an alumni of Graceville and has relationships in Graceville, will not be representing Graceville as a county commissioner. It just kind of,
and it goes back to what, the city of Marianna is doing. They're actually taking the advice and the
a board
input of people in the community, whereas it's complete opposite. So
they're not listening. Not even listen to the school board, which brings us to here. This is what's going to happen. Now, the school board will have their own lines that will not mimic the commissioner's lines, which will confuse the citizens, because you're going to have a vote for a county commissioner in one district, if you're in a certain area, but you'll be voting for a school board member in a different district. So that's going to be confusing. And the supervisor of election, she spoke afterwards also to us and explain, what's going to happen. We'll let you listen to her for a few minutes.
So after the Board of County Commissioners has gone through the approval process for the new maps for Jackson County, our role as Supervisor of Elections is to send out new voter registration cards to all registered voters. Currently, that's over 28,000 individuals. Those new cards will explain what precinct they should vote in and also what district they're located in. Should you have any questions before you receive a new card, please give me a call at 850-482-9652.
So she just explained that she has to do new voter cards. It's going to have to be a campaign for voter education to try to help people to understand what district they're voting for what in. So it's going to be, a lot of work on their part. If this goes through, which, like I said, it still has not been approved, but if it proceeds like it's going right now, that is going to be where we ended up with 2 different maps, one from the school board and one for the county commissioners. And I don't blame the school board for not, going along with the county commissioners, because they didn't even take the schools, in consideration,
Yeah.
I can't blame them for that,
Yeah, we have to see where this thing plays out, but people, this is another point. You have to raise these questions, and you have to apply. It's no heavy. Everything we talk about, there's no heavy thinking. There's no grandiose equation or formula to this. It's pretty simple, but you have to raise these questions. Why? What's the intent? What's the end game? And I think when people connect the dots, I think they will come to a point where, if you are wanting to get engaged, because now things are going to be very confusing. So the average voter, or the everyday voter in the local community in Jackson County, especially in District 1 and 2, and even previously 5, will definitely have to really know and be engaged with their district lines and who they're actually voting for on these ballots. Because you may go in there looking for a certain name and it's not there no more.
Because you're not in that district anymore.
Yeah,
right.
You're not in that district. And people are starting, and it's going to be too late to ask these questions when you're sitting in that booth, you know. So that's what we're here for. Yeah, that's what we're here for. So,
well, the last thing I will say is that District 2 and District 4 county commissioners are up for re-election in 2022. So that is Commissioner Pate's seat, as well as Commissioner Hill seat. Now, Commissioner Pate is running for state representative. He's running for Brad Drake's spot. And there are 2 other people running from him, one from Phoenix Springs, and then Marty Cola's son, Vance Cola. He's also running. So Clint Pate will not be running for County Commissioner District 2 next year. So it will be someone else, and the speculation of who that is. Now, again, that meeting is going to be Monday, November the 1st at 1:30 p.m. in the board chambers. All right, Byron, let's move on to some state news. I'm going to have to hit on our Surgeon General, Dr. Ladapo. So I don't know if you guys have heard, but Dr. Ladapo was trying to meet with the senator. Her name is Tina Polsky from Boca Raton. Basically, he has to get confirmed, even though he's been nominated by the Governor DeSantis, but he has to be confirmed next year. However, he was going to meet with her, and she asked him to put on a mask. She explained to him that she has a serious health condition and wanted him to put on a mask. Well, he did not comply. And it turns out she is, going through breast cancer. So that's why she asked him to put on a mask. He opted to ask her to meet outside, Byron, a doctor. Now, she didn't have to disclose what her medical issue was. She didn't have to tell him. All she had to do was say it was a serious health condition, and he should have complied. Right?
That at some point it becomes petty. I'm not. I get people's, and I'm a pretty open-minded person. I get people's frustration that are pro and against wearing a mask. I think it was the first or second show we did. I was burnt out with the whole conversation about masks. You want to wear one, wear it. You don't. But if someone asked me to wear one, I wouldn't. Okay, no problem. It's not like you're asking me to climb a mountain. You're asking me to change my whole wardrobe or wear a hazmat suit. So to me, I think he took a. It doesn't seem like he took a political stance in a situation.
So Byron, you talking about a medical doctor?
I mean,
she said I have a medical issue, just like me telling you.
Well, she didn't have to say that.
You're right.
She didn't have to say that.
But she did. She did. So she clued him in that something was going on with her. I mean, it's just like me telling you. I mean, my situation, what I went through. Can you wear a mask? You like, Like,
I mean, I can't even tell you how many times I went to somebody's house and they asked me to take my shoes off before I came. All right, no problem.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So,
you just comply, right?
Yeah,
especially in that situation. So as a result, they're asking him to step down. I say they, the Democratic Party chair, Manny Diaz, the Agriculture Commissioner, Nikki Freed, as well as Charlie Crist, which is he's running for governor as well. So they're all asking him to step down, and I don't blame him. Like, if you're this insensitive, you don't need to be in that position as a doctor.
Well, you may not agree with me on this one, but I think on both sides, it's both Dr. Ladapo and the Democrats that are calling for him to come down. I think now they taking on a political spin. I think he did it in reference to I guess trying to show that he's, not with wearing a mask, and I think they took that as an opportunity to say, hey, we want you out.
Yeah, so, but that wasn't a time to make a political stand on his part. I mean, you pick another situation, not regarding somebody's health.
Yeah, so it was idiotic on his. It was idiotic on his end to even go there. But it definitely doesn't seem conduct becoming of somebody that's going to be a certain gender, because he, just like anybody else that in positions like this, you're not just representing pro-maskers or no maskers. You're supposed to be. This is all about health and the American people. It ain't got nothing to do with whether or not you want or don't want to wear a mask.
And you're supposed to be an example.
That shouldn't be the hill he wanted to die on. You know what I'm saying? But I think that was the wrong move for that situation.
Yeah. He's supposed to be he's expected to be confirmed next year during the session, lawmaker in session.
So
but even if
he's not,
but even if they
would
say
it be different?
Well, they say even if he's not confirmed, he's allowed to serve for 2 years. I didn't know that. I read it.
Wow.
Yeah. So even if he's not confirmed,
that may be the intent.
Well, I know, right? So, but I felt
that may be the bottom line.
Well, the bottom line is he needs to be more sensitive and have some common sense. Yeah. That's the bottom line. Yeah. But I failed to mention this, that the local and state news is brought to you by Brightway Insurance right here in Marianna. They're located on Caledonia Street, and you can get your property insurance, vehicle insurance, business insurance, life insurance, anything you need from Brightway Insurance. So call them up at 850-633-3460. Contact TD and his team. Okay. So again, Byron, between the three things I talked about, the Marianna City Commission, the Jackson County Board of County Commissioners, and then of course our Surgeon General, Dr. Ladapo, those were some serious, heavy topics. Okay. Yeah. Again, y'all check out TD and his staff at Brightway Insurance. Again, 850-633-3460. That address is 2867 Caledonia Street in Marianna, and they're open Monday through Friday from 9 to 5 and by appointment only on Saturdays. What do you have for national news?
Okay, so for national news, before I begin, People's Funeral Home, because we care, we're here when you need us. Long Granbury Funeral Services Incorporated, doing business as People's Funeral Home, Marianna and Battle Mortuary, Panama Service, Panama City, offers services that are within the reach of all. Our caring staff is available 24/7 when the need arises. Our services are designed to commemorate the life being remembered at a price suitable for all. Give Cephas and Gwen a call at 850-482-2233 or simply stop by for more information. That's People's Funeral Home. So in my first story, the U.S. Marshals, Georgia officers are indicted in the death of a man that was shot 76 times. So in East Point, Georgia, grand jury this past Tuesday, they returned an 8-count indictment against these two law enforcement officers in connection with a 2016 killing of a man by the name of Jamarian Robinson, who's 26, 76 times during an attempted fugitive arrest in the Atlanta area. So Eric Hines, an assistant chief inspector with the U.S. Marshals Southeast Regional Fugitive Task Force, and Christopher Hutchins, Clayton County police officer working with that task force, they were formally charged of felony murder, aggravated assault, burglary making false statements, and violation of oath by a public officer. The medical examiner's report says that Mr. Robinson was shot 76 times when officers tried to enter his apartment. Now, one of these, two of those shots were given standing directly over him. Reports say that neither officers, nobody had on body cams, but there were a cell phone footage that actually showed some of the event, and the mother of the deceased had reported that they handcuffed him and dragged his body down the flight of stairs before they and did not even render him medical aid.
Wow.
It was not even immediately known that Hines or Hutchinson had lawyers who could comment on their behalf. So, the family reached out and they celebrated as you were. They basically fought real hard to get this to fruition. U.S. Marshal spokesman said that the officers were attempting to serve warrants by the Atlanta police, and there was speculation that Mr. Officer had pointed a gun at other officers like earlier. And this is
Oh,
one of those situations where you see what I'm saying? It's one of those situations where it was like a retaliation thing,
yeah,
and
the
more will
history.
come out with this case. Yeah, but the weird thing, like I said, there was no body camera video of the shooting, and cell phone video from outside the apartment had captured just a little bit, but over
But
90
76
rounds were
times,
fired
Byron?
at yeah, they said the mother said over 90 rounds were fired at her son, flashback, grenades, everything. So it was very odd, but it's interesting to see how this turns out. The district attorney office declined because they actually, the DA before said that they didn't have anything to charge, and after a new election, the new DA brought up the charges. So we'll see what happens in this case, but it's very interesting. I can't see how 76 hits, 90 rounds and 76 shots to this man were warranted. That's very odd. So
That don't make sense. That's a lot. I mean, yeah,
yeah.
that's a lot. Yeah. I hate to even
So
hear stuff like that.
yeah. So my next story is suspect in if people haven't been following national news, suspect in Boise mall shooting. There was a mall shooting in Boise, Idaho. Injured victims, they will survive, but there were 2 deceased. So the suspect in the shooting that killed 2 people and injured 4 others in Boise, Idaho mall has died. City officials announced this past Tuesday as well. The 4 injured victims included a city police officer, are all expected to survive, but it's not yet clear the suspects how did the suspect die. They did exchange gunfire before he was apprehended. You even had one of the surviving police officers that a round actually came in and hit them in the hat, but the glass that was shattered from the window actually gave cut and gave injuries to that officer. So it was some close calls.
Wow.
The identified shooter was 26-year-old. As you were, the 2 deceased victims were 26-year-old Joe Acker and 49-year-old Roberto Padilla Arguelles. The 4 injured victims have been identified as 52-year-old female, a 20-year-old female, a 68-year-old female, and the police officer.
Wow. That's
So
sad.
some of the statements was I can't even put into words how completely devastated and shattered I am. One that was Acker's, one of the victims' sister, and she stated that Joe, he was always kind and loving and always such an enormous heart of gold. So prayers go out to the families of the victims, and it's sad that has to be the ending. There's no real accountability there, and there's no rhyme or reason. But the authorities did say that this person had, in the past, there had been issues with security mall officers with the same individual, that the person had some mental health issues. So there were outlining signs that just didn't quite get put together to the right people, and this ended up, unfortunately, ended up happening. So,
Okay.
but
That's so sad.
yeah,
That's sad. Anytime you see something like that, I mean, it's always mental health is tied in there somewhere. So it's just sad. Yeah. We need more
So
resources.
so in my other story that's a little more I guess you could say humorous and comical. There was a moment, a Michigan, I saw it on TikTok. There was a Michigan man with a suspended license that dials into the Zoom court, hearing, and he did it while he was driving. and in some kind of way he couldn't realize that he was driving. The video went viral. Shows a man he's logged into this Zoom court hearing. So I mean that's one right there. You don't even have to show up to court. You get to do a Zoom meeting. And his name was
Wait, he was
Kevin
driving and he was driving, but his charges was driving without a license.
He was driving while he was he was suspended. So and his name was Kevin Burns. I'm gonna show the image. He could be seen in the bottom right corner, right? And he's at the Zoom hearing with 5 other participants while he's in the front seat, in the car video. So this thing got shared over 400,000 times, but the judge's name was Elaine C. Washington of the 14B District Court in Ypsilanti. She's pictured in the Zoom video as well. She's like, "Are you driving right now?" And his answer was, "Yeah, matter of factly, I'm just parking the car for a friend." And she's like,
"Yeah,
but you're suspended." And he's trying to say, "Well, I'm not driving, I'm parking the car." But
that takes driving, right?
Yeah, he couldn't get that part. So she's like, in the end, she's like, "I'm gonna need you to get out the car, okay?" So we don't know yet if she actually put him in contempt of court or anything like that. But it's just crazy how Buddy didn't even realize that you're still driving the car, man. Why would you even if he did park the car, just stand outside or something. Don't get on the Zoom while
you're gonna call in. Yeah. That's an example of a dumb.
And the crazy thing was, as he was talking, he had his blinker on. So he's saying he's not driving, and you hear the blinker go.
You hear it, yeah.
So
again,
it's crazy.
That's an example of a dumb criminal, Byron.
Yeah. Smart dummy. Crazy. That's a smart dummy right there.
What did Fred Sanford used to say to Lamont? You big dummy.
Well, yeah. So this segment was brought to you by People's Funeral Home. Because we care, we're here when you need us. Long Granbury Funeral Services Incorporated, doing business as People's Funeral Home, Marianna and Battle Mortuary. Panama City offers services that is within the reach of all. Our caring staff is available 24/7 when the need arises, and our services are designed to commemorate the life being remembered at a suitable price for all. Give Cephas and Gwen a call at 850-482-2233 or simply stop by for more information. That's People's Funeral Home.
Okay, let's move on to some sports. We have some high school football action tonight. Cottondale is at home against a school called Willingston. I had to look that one up because I wasn't sure where that was, but it's in the Gainesville area. So Cottondale is at home against Willingston High. Graceville is at home against Franklin County. And then Marianna does not play because they are playing Thursday night. They play North Bay Haven right here in Marianna at 7:00 on a Thursday night, November the 4th. And the winner of that matchup will determine the seeding in the playoffs, which is the following week. So make sure we are paying attention to that. But Marianna will play on Thursday night, November the 4th at 7 p.m. in Marianna against North Bay Haven. And the winner of that matchup will go on, will determine the seeding in the playoffs. So you got Chipley. Chipley is at Walton tonight. And then Blountstown is at Hilliard, another school I was not familiar with, but that school is in the Jacksonville area. And then Sneads is at Hamilton County, and that school is also in the Jacksonville area. So they are both on the road. And then you're going to move on to, well, I want to mention this. Last week, Cottondale beat Graceville 48-14.
Look at you.
In Graceville.
Don't put your team out. I see you.
I want to mention that. Yeah. Just kind of want to mention that. But I also want to mention this. Now, Sneads put up basketball numbers last week. They played Franklin County, and they beat them by 70-14. Sneads did. Yeah.
Did you say 70-14?
70-14. They beat Franklin County.
I'm gonna say this. When I played, we had a pretty bad game, and one of the only thing that motivated us not to let the other team win. I think we were down like 54-0 and a half, and our coach told us, he said, unless y'all want to end up on ESPN 100-0, You might want to do something. Hey, and we didn't score we didn't score too many points, but we made sure they didn't score any more points.
They didn't run up the clock, huh? Yeah.
Hey,
Well,
they was pretty close to making ESPN with that one, 70-14. Good.
70-14. Yeah.
Yeah,
Now
that's
here's the interesting thing. So Franklin County, lost bad like that, but so did Graceville lost bad. So Graceville and Franklin County, as I mentioned earlier, they play each other. So we'll see what kind of results that yield. All right, then we move on to week 9 in college football. The big game this week, or one of the big games this week, is Georgia and Florida. Both of them rested last week, but they play in Gainesville on tomorrow at 2:30 p.m. on CBS. People started going to Gainesville, Byron, on Tuesday and setting up in their little tent city. Tuesday. Yeah, they started going then. So that game is tomorrow at 2:30, and then Mississippi is at Auburn at 6 p.m. on ESPN. Miami is at Pittsburgh. That's 11 a.m. on the ACC network. Florida State is at Clemson. That game is at 2:30 p.m. on ESPN. Let's see. Oh, that is basically Virginia Tech is at Georgia Tech. That's 11 a.m. on ESPN3. And then the biggest game this weekend, I got my FAMU stuff on, is Florida A&M University and Grambling in Tallahassee for FAMU's homecoming. That game is at 3 p.m. If you are not there, you're going to probably be square. But FAMU homecoming is this weekend. They've started festivities. It started Sunday night with the coronation of Mr. and Mrs. FAMU. Mr. FAMU is Kamani Jackson, and Miss FAMU is Erica Johnson. And they had everything this week from step shows. They had everything, beauty and wellness expo. They had a lot of things going on this week, but the culmination is Saturday, the game, and of course, the halftime show. So there we go. Yeah. So make sure you are tuned in. Yeah.
We'll make the parade. I don't think we may not be able to make the game. We'll definitely make the parade.
Yeah, we're gonna make the parade and the game. So, but FAMU
cool.
is on a roll. They're 5-2. They lost to Jackson State, Dion's team, and then they lost to University of South Florida. So, other than that, they are kicking butt. So, doing good. And you know what, Byron? Also today, it started this morning at 10. ESPN is broadcasting there with Stephen A. Smith. So Kevin Hart, Stephen A. Smith, Taraji Henson, all of them was there this morning broadcasting that show, ESPN show, First Take. So, yeah.
That's right. That's the director. I forgot his name.
Will Packer. Yeah, Will Packer.
Yeah, Will Packer is bringing everybody.
Yeah, he's a FAMU alumni. So yeah. So that's that was that. So, and then I'll give you your top 10 real quick. So the top 10 for this week 9, is number 1, Georgia, number 2, Cincinnati, number 3, Alabama. They climbed back up. Number 4, Oklahoma, number 5, Ohio State, number 6, Michigan, number 7, Oregon, number 8, Michigan State, number 9, Iowa, and number 10, Mississippi. So there you go, your top 10 in the AP poll for week 9. All right, what do you have, Byron, for entertainment?
Okay, so for entertainment, one thing about entertainment, you definitely get most of your entertainment from the TV. So speaking of TV, we have 2Egg TV. 2Egg TV is an off-beaten path streaming travel channel. Dale Cox and the 2Egg TV team take you on a digital adventures in Florida, Georgia, and Alabama with travel features and documentaries. You can watch 2Egg TV on YouTube, Roku, and on 2eggtv.com. That's 2eggtv.com. So my first story, there was the man convicted in the murder of Michael Jordan's father is denied parole. One of the men convicted in that murder of James Jordan, father of the basketball legend, was denied parole, according to a spokesperson from North Carolina Department of Public Safety. Daniel Green and his co-defendant Larry Demery were both convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison in July 1993 of the murder of Mr. Jordan. Just to go back and give some of the details, Mr. Jordan had just pulled over. I've done it plenty of times, just to take a nap. These two gentlemen were actually on their way to rob, to actually partake in a burglar robbery, and they saw the high-end car, And instead of, I'm not condoning any type of criminal activity, but instead of, robbing them and just leaving them, they murdered them and then took the car and actually drove around trying to pick up women and got caught. So Green's parole will be reviewed again only until 2024. So it's short-lived, but Daniel Green hasn't received justice since this is from Green's attorney. Daniel Green hasn't received justice since the day he was arrested. So I didn't have much hope that it would start with the parole process. It's interesting how some people can be so blind to what others can clearly see. It's a bureaucracy. They don't have to give a reason. It's easier to just say, come back in 3 years. Once again, he was in 2020, Demery was granted parole via the Mutual Agreement Parole Program, a scholastic and vocational program. So according to this news, his parole date was set for August 6, 2023. And then when the documentary, The Last Dance, came out, and how Michael Jordan opened up about his relationship with his dad, and how he was killed, it took a turn. So at this point, it just they go in and say how Demery, said that they had no idea that their victim, who it was, until they rifled through his possession. So they really didn't even care that they just killed the innocent man. They just found out that it was Michael Jordan. So hopefully in 2024 it gets denied again, because now you're asking for forgiveness and leniency when you didn't even apply it for yourself or for someone else. So another story, DMX finally family releases a statement regarding his estate. So this is one of these stories, again, kind of like in the past, where celebrities, artists, they don't take care of their estates and their business if they pass away prior to. So DMX, it was hard to believe that it was just this past April that he passed. This was, 6 months to the world without the hardcore rap legend. Families issued an official statement stating that, he's not going to be, who's going to actually be in charge of his estate. So now his son, right now, they're saying his son from his ex-wife will be the temporary administrator of his estate, but he has they're saying up to 15 children. And there are other people coming out that's saying that, hey, that's my dad. Yeah, 15. And they have other people coming out and say, hey, that's my dad. So, if a paternity test is done and they're actually his children, then I guess something different is going to happen. But he never had anything with all of his 5 platinum albums, his 8 LPs, 7 compilation albums, 3 mixtapes. He had all the rights to that music. And what's going to happen with all that? Don't know, but this is a prime example what happens when you don't take care of your affairs. I know in our community, people get upset when you start asking those questions, but we have to put things in order and do a will, do a power of attorney, break down who's gonna get what, because if some ungodly thing happens, then guess what? It's gonna be a mess, and that's what it looks like to be. So right now, temporary administrator is his oldest son from his last divorced wife, and that's what the courts have so far. But yeah, it looks like it's gonna be So my last story is rapper Freeway. I was big on this Philly rapper when I was in high school. He mourns the death of his daughter. He says that the pain is unimaginable, and he's went through other losses. So died at the age of 21 following a battle with cancer. He took to Instagram early this past Sunday morning just to post his really a heartbreaking tribute to his daughter. Her name was Harmony. And he said, the saying, sugar and spice and everything nice. Well, that's my Harmony, he captioned. And he went on to, say that the video was February of this year on her 21st birthday. And even though she was fighting cancer, she was always happy and always smiling, and she always brightened up to this day. Harmony death arrives just a year after Freeway's son, Jihad, died of complications of an accidental drug intoxication. So he is a devout Muslim, and he basically just, he was saying that it's like what he told, I think he was on a podcast, and he was saying it was like how I told you about Islam and God. He said, without that, I don't know where I would be right now, but my faith in God and my understanding in God really got me through. He says that they say God, tests the ones he loves, and he must love me because I've been getting hit with a lot of tests. So
wow. How old is he? How old is he, Byron?
I don't know how old Freeway. I'm guessing he's got to be somewhere around his late 40s.
Okay.
Check that out, his late 40s maybe. Because shoot, Jay-Z is 51 and he was signed to Rockefeller on his debut album.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know how actually old is. I'll look that up.
Okay. All right.
But
Cool.
that was brought
Entertainment.
to you, and entertainment. So once again, speaking of entertainment, 2X TV. 2X TV is an off-beaten path streaming travel channel. Dale Cox and the 2X team take you on digital adventures in Florida, Georgia, and Alabama with travel features and documentaries. You can watch 2X TV on YouTube, Roku, and 2XTV.com. It's 2XTV.com.
Okay. All right. We'll move on to our relationship T segment. And our topic for today is, how well do you agree to disagree? So Byron, we say it all the time. We can agree to disagree, but in your heart of hearts, are you really at peace with it when you're in a conversation with someone? Or are you really harboring ill feelings when someone disagrees with you? So like, how well do you handle that?
Yeah, that almost sounds like a save the fight for another day, because I've got family members where when we initially link up, it's love, we hugging, and then after a while, it doesn't matter whatever the topic is, hey, it's gonna be an argument, it's gonna be a back and forth, and I've learned over the years to agree to disagree, just let that one go, and kind of.
But do you get mad for real? Do you get mad? Are you underneath? Are you really mad?
Yeah, I mean, I have my moments. I mean, I'm a Pisces. I'm I get, I'm like, but there's certain things that I just can't let go, and it could be considered very, very petty. But some things I just can't let go. But as we get older, we learn to for the sake of that, not just for the relationship, but for the sake of that person's growth, you let them have that one. You say, okay, I'm gonna agree to disagree. I'm not gonna say you're right, but I'm gonna just say we'll agree to disagree on this one. And maybe when you see a few things, you may see where I'm coming from, and we come back to that. Because I notice a lot of times that's better than continuing to go back and forth. I'd rather say, you know what? Let's just agree to disagree. Now, by saying that, in essence, you're still saying, I don't agree with what you're saying, but you're letting that person know, look, I'm going to respect your mind. We're going to stop and we'll just agree to disagree. Now, some people don't really like that. They don't like that because it makes them feel like they're getting cut off.
Exactly. Yeah. But you're trying to say you're trying to basically stay in a peaceable mode, basically.
Yeah. And then you ain't finna cut me off. I'm gonna keep saying what I want to say. And a lot of times, I've learned over the years, like I said, a lot of times is just, give them that space to say, all right, I'm gonna come back to that. And then they may see your point of view or your perspective, and then say, well, I see what you trying to say. I see what you were talking about.
Or sometimes when you say that, you may see theirs. I mean, it can go, both ways. It can be like, you say, hey, okay, we disagree. We'll agree to disagree. You go away, and that gives you time to think about, well, maybe I should look at the way they're looking at it. Maybe I should kind of rethink this. So I think it's a good thing to do that. However, my question was, are you able to do it in a peaceful manner? Like within, I know on the outside you're saying, okay, it's good, but within, are you really like, you big dummy, you don't think that way? Or are you really, Or you really saying like, okay, let's just kind of do this
that's
within.
that's funny you say that, because I got a friend that he'll do that. He'll say we'll agree to disagree, or I'll cut him off and I'll say, well, we just agree to disagree. But he really don't never let it go. It might be 30 minutes later. He'll come with his phone and he'll say, see, this way, he'll Google something and say, see. He might not, he'll just show it to me. And I'm like, oh, you still on it? It might be an hour or two later. I'm like, let it go, man. I'm not gonna go on your side right now. Just let it go.
Yeah.
But he'll say agree to disagree. The next day, he might show me a newspaper clipping or email me something or text me something, and I'm like, nah, I'm not gonna go with it.
That's
man.
funny. Yeah.
But,
It's always a interesting thing to hear when people say that. And I'm always wondering, are you really, meaning that? Or are you just trying to, cut the conversation off because, you really are trying to keep peace, or you cutting the conversation off because you don't want to hear what I have to say? So
I guess how you do it too.
For the person that says it, that says we can just agree to disagree. Yeah.
It's how they do it. Because if they cut you off before you even get the first sentence out,
you just don't want to hear what I have to say.
Yeah, they just cutting you off.
Yeah. So. All right. Well, that was our relationship tea topic. And I want to take this moment to thank everyone who participated in the Faith Overfield project. I don't know exactly how many hat wigs were sent, but I know it had to be 50 or more. So it was an overwhelming response to the project. And I want to thank everybody who participated in whatever way. And thank you for sharing the information. Thank you for purchasing the hat wigs, and thank you for sending the positive note to the ladies at the facility that are going through treatment. So again, I just want to say thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I really appreciate you for doing that. So, all right, Byron, I think we are up against the clock right now. And I want to remind everyone, check out FAMU's Homecoming, whether it's via YouTube, check out whatever the band is showing, or a football game. The football game is on ESPN Plus, so you can check out the game if you're not going to Tallahassee. And so again, thank you everybody for watching Bottom Line with Roni and Byron. We really appreciate your support. And remember, when you know the truth, you can speak the truth. And the light shines brighter when it shines for two. And we'll see you next week.